So staff is recommending that we move the discussion items to prior to the first reading items, since the members of the audience are more in tune for that item. So I think it'd be appropriate if we move the discussion item to immediately following the town's attorney report,
Okay.
if that's okay with you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Discussion item by the mayor will be talked about after the town attorney report. Moving right along, good and welfare.
So for the good and welfare, so everyone about this, talking about the Civic Center doesn't need to do good and welfare.
Well,
Yeah, they can talk whatever they want.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they can say whatever they want, yeah, yeah. Good and welfare?
Mayor, just because there's a lot of residents in the audience, so just good and welfare is an opportunity for the public to talk on any matter that it feels. The clerk will read your name, you'll come up and just speak on whatever item. What we just did by setting the agenda, there will be a discussion period to talk about the Civic Center, Town Hall, and all that stuff. Talk about it during good and welfare, you can talk about it during the discussion item.
So good and welfare, first on good and welfare?
Francine Allen, 570 Golden Beach Drive.
Just remind everyone of good and welfare, it's 3 minutes for time. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Mayor and Councilman. I appreciate the opportunity to address the council with my concerns. I strongly oppose the proposal of the new town hall. My family has had the great fortune to live in Golden Beach for nearly 34 years. Golden Beach is a small town with incredible natural beauty. We have a private beach that is an extraordinary and priceless gift that we should cherish. We have beautiful parks with exercise equipment, tennis courts, basketball and volleyball courts, dog parks, children's playground. We already are living in paradise here. We do not need nor can we afford a more expensive endeavors. Our current town hall serves our small, quaint town very well. We do not need a new town hall or a community center, gym, or other expensive additions to our town. Besides the expense of the community center and gym, there would be a huge liability exposure to our town. I ask the mayor and the councilman to reject the very expensive proposal. Everyone that I have spoken to in town is against this. We do not want any assessments or, excuse me, any increase in already high property taxes. Thank you for your attention in this matter.
Thank you. Next, please.
Charlene Coonan, 668 Golden Beach Drive.
Good evening, everybody. I'm here to talk about the security or lack thereof on the north end of town, specifically as it pertains to the pedestrian gate coming off of Massini. So when we were doing the CIP project, we just had a fence there going along Massini, and at the time there were people who were climbing over the fence. I think we had 3 climbers in about, you remember that, in about 4 weeks, and we had proposed at the time to put a concrete wall there. I guess at the time that wasn't feasible, so we came up with a plan to put the green mesh along the fence and then have the hedges growing. And that really seemed to work in terms of the security, because the hedges grew, 6 feet and higher, and, people weren't able to climb the fence. And now, out of the blue, in the one area, we took down the hedge, we cut a hole in the fence, and we have the pedestrian gate there. Now, we all know that that pedestrian gate, for all intent and purpose, need not be a gate, because everybody who wants the code has the code. It's basically an open hole in the fence. So we have people coming in from the condos from Hallandale, walking in droves. Last Sunday I was in Singer Park for 30 minutes, between 8 and 8:30, and there had to be about 20 people walking in, and some on bicycles. It's a closed, dark alley in Massini. There's no intimidation factor. Now, you might say, well, we have other pedestrian gates, all along, but every single other gate comes off of A1A, and you're walking into the town where people can, the police cars are, where there's activity, and I just feel that there's much more of an intimidation factor if people are walking from the condos to the pedestrian gate on Nirvana, when they see the sign, only residents are allowed in, they might be more likely to walk to the Strand to come and walk in Golden Beach. And I think a bigger issue than the people walking from the condos is that the major crime that we've had in the last 6 months or so in Golden Beach have been on the north end of town. So what any thief can do is park their car in the condo, in the Hallandale condo, put on a baseball cap like all the walkers have, kind of camouflage their face, walk through that gate, and trust me, it's an open gate. Anybody can get that code anytime. So if a thief wants to, they just hang out there, watch somebody open the code, press the code and walk in. So come and, you know, my neighbor, Harriet White, had her place kind of ransacked. And then they need to go, they'll just leave out of the gate and take their car, which is now in Broward County, not Dade County anymore, and leave. So, you know, we saw earlier this evening, you know, a wonderful police force. They're phenomenal. We're a town that prides itself on security. And it just seems to me such a breach to have that gate there coming off of Massini. So I know there was an issue with residents wanting to walk their dog from the beach side, but, you know, they can use Nirvana and the gate to Nirvana, and the residents who need to walk to Temple on Shabbat. I mean, those are the exact residents who are sitting ducks for people walking into. So maybe if we could talk to those residents personally, if they could use the gate in Nirvana, or if it's a real hardship, maybe have the police open the vehicle gate for them. I think there are ways to address this. You know, we pride ourselves on being such a safe community, so I'm respectfully proposing that we take out that gate, rejoin the fence, put the green mesh back on, put in the 6-foot hedges that were removed, and I just think we'll be a bit of a safer place. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tanya Murciano, 405 Center Island.
Good evening. I'm going to talk about an issue that I understand is being put to sleep, but there was a petition that has been signed, so I think it's appropriate to talk about it and leave the petition here with the council members and the mayor and the town manager. My name is Tanya Murciano. I live in 405 Center Island Drive, and I will be speaking on behalf of the majority of Center Island as well as many other residents of Golden Beach. During the January 2018 council meeting, there was a discussion about the possible development of a civic center or a gym in the empty lot of 401 Center Island Drive. The construction and operation of a civic and/or civic center on Center Island would produce significantly negative impacts on both the town of Golden Beach and Center Island. We object to the construction and operation of any civic or fitness center on Center Island and request that any and all plans to move forward to develop 401 Center Island Drive immediately cease. These developments would alter the peace and tranquility that Center Island enjoys. It would affect the quality of life and lower the value of the properties, of all the properties in Center Island, leaving this island in a clear disadvantage with South Island and North Island. We thank you for working to improve the town, but we believe that any proposal to build an infrastructure that changed the peaceful living on the island will not be welcome from the residents. This is a petition that has been signed by the majority of Center Island. There was a couple that do not live here, so we don't have the signatures, as well as many other residents that were not approving the construction of the.
Thank you.
We'll take that for the record.
Thank you.
Next.
Terry Sun, 264 South Parkway.
Good evening. Terry San, 264 South Parkway. Thank you for all of your work that you do for us. I want to speak about the lack of communication. As you know, at a lot of different events, people have come up to you and say, we heard that you're going to assess us $50,000 per home or $30,000 per home to build a civic center. And we also understand that most of it is rumor and innuendo, but there's not enough communication going on. I'll give you an example. So we have, as we drive in tonight, about Sunday's potluck dinner, but nothing about tonight's meeting. Nothing. You can have robocalls for every single, movie night or dinner, but nothing about what you're doing at these meetings. So we all came tonight, well, my husband and I came tonight, even though we had a conversation saying that you're not really talking about the Civic Center because you don't have enough information, but nobody else knows that. Everybody thinks that this is all going on and you're doing it behind closed doors. And they're waiting for the worst to happen. And it doesn't bode well for the town, and it just smells bad. So if possible, somehow could we get more communications, whether it be robocalls or whether it be an email, tell us, we're talking about the Civic Center, we have nothing to say, but we need advice. Example, we don't know if it's gonna go on Center Island or not. So we would like to be part of the dialogue and not just have you do research and present proposals to us. We would like to be part of that dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sari Adicott, 155 Golden Beach Drive.
Good evening, Sari Adicott, 155 Golden Beach Drive. Before I start, I do want to thank the officers that you honored tonight. I know they're not here, but we do really need to be proud of them and respect the work they do. It's amazing, and their families when they leave in the morning, not to know. I mean, obviously we're not a high crime district, but still, you never know, and so I do appreciate them. And I'm here also because what we have is a lack of communication, failure to communicate, as Paul would say. Or I guess that was a cop, right? Anyway, it's true. We're not getting any information, really. We have 2 color brochures on the spaghetti dinner, which I don't know how much that costs, but it's silly. And on the bottom it says there's going to be a meeting. And when I wrote and asked why don't we have an agenda, I was told, well, we don't have an agenda because, it's not out yet. But I'm sorry. By the time the beginning of the month comes, you're going to have a meeting, kind of what your agenda is. I know how it works. So we should have at least some kind of preliminary idea of what's on the agenda. Quite frankly, I was amazed after everything that happened last month that nothing's on the agenda about what the Civic Center or the supposed Civic Center. And Terry's right. Rumors are rampant. And
It is on the agenda,
where is it on the agenda?
on discussion items, under my discussion item. It's on the agenda.
Okay, I didn't see it. I
It's on the
apologize if it's on the agenda. If it's
been on
on
the
a
agenda from day
discussion,
one.
but as a discussion, what does it exactly say?
Discussion item on the town civic center.
Okay, well, if that's all it says, it's still a little bit less than what I would expect after what we discussed and after there were statements that
It says
perhaps.
civic center update.
Here.
I
Civic
don't know how
Center-
more specific you could be, but
Civic Center update, I guess maybe detail what that's it? Because last time it just said Civic Center funding. I mean, to me, that's no better. I mean, really, after all that discussion and saying that it was gonna move along to put it on for a referendum, and that we were gonna have all this informational context, I mean, seriously, yeah, he was before
you
November.
never said a referendum.
Really?
You get the facts straight.
No.
We never said a referendum, and all we did was a discussion item last council meeting, and we said, we left it, that in the next meeting, we'll give an update. That the town manager and I, we're gonna take one step at a time, first meet with Dade County Fire. And tonight I have a report on where we are with everything. It's an update, that's all it is. There's nothing else to say. I don't know how to be more explicit. I agree on the communication needs to be better, but on the agenda, it's on the agenda.
Okay, I really remember sitting here and talking about how it was gonna move along and questioning how you were gonna vote on something in November. And it had to be done by June, and you were talking about having meetings to educate people like we did for the CI. I mean, I remember that. I'll go back and listen to the tapes, because I don't think that was not discussed, Glenn. But anyway, that's an issue. we should have more, this is a huge project. We don't even know what the cost of that guardhouse is.
You know the cost of the house.
What, I don't know what it is.
But I don't mean to
Well,
interrupt.
what
I'm
is
sorry,
it?
go on.
I don't know
Go on.
what the cost of, but it's a, you know, and it's really the fault of us too as residents. We become complacent, and part is it because, you know, you guys have been in office for so long, and we appreciate that. But maybe we need to start looking at a different way to run our town also. Maybe we need term limits. Maybe we need, that would get people more involved if they knew that every like 4 years or 6 years, you've got to have a new whatever. You know, and I don't mean that derogatorily towards any of you, because certainly I appreciate the work you do. I mean, Mike was mayor for a long time also. It's just that I think we need a turnover. I think you need, and I appreciate I'm coming up and running because that brings new blood, new ideas. You can't, and now, like I said, it's us. We're complacent, I think. And Terry's 100% right. To walk, to drive into town and see spaghetti supper when we're having a town meeting is silly. And I've said this for a long time, that we should have notes, you know, like placards at the parks. So when you come in and there's a meeting on that Tuesday night, there's a park sign that says, we're having a meeting Tuesday night. I don't know why that's so difficult. And just one other issue, and I'll go away. I still don't get the dogs on the beach. And this last weekend, I think Mike was at the beach. The dogs are on the little couches that you sit on, what are the chaise lounges. Really, you shouldn't have dogs on the chaise lounges.
That
No.
shouldn't
It
be.
should be on the beach.
But they were told it was okay because it was a service dog, which brings you, what is a service
That's-
dog, and how do we know that?
that's
Well, I'm
different.
just saying, this is and we need to be careful, and dogs shouldn't be on the beach. That's
Thank
just
you.
my thinking. Okay, I'm done.
Next.
Jeff Sun, 264 South Parkway.
Thank you. Jeff Son, 264 South Parkway. First, I do commend the board and staff for the good job everybody does, because the town is run well. And Terry and I have now been here almost 4 years, and frankly, we're very happy. It's a great community. I would echo some of the sentiments about communication. I think when it comes to some of these more significant events, whether it be the renovation of the guard gate or the Civic Center, we could remedy that rather than sitting here and criticizing everybody. I think that maybe a blog might be in order. I know we have a wonderful website. There has been some discussion about it, or an occasional letter from our mayor saying, hey, here's some of the things that has been discussed during meetings, because look, we have 350 residents and we have maybe 16 people here. Maybe a periodic either letter from the mayor or a blog to keep people apprised would be a good step at better information, because people can't always come here, at least on the more significant things. We have that wonderful monthly magazine we get, but it doesn't always contain some of the more important things I think a lot of the residents start talking about, and sometimes we're not as well as informed as we could be, even though it might be on an agenda item tonight. But even going forward, these things are not going to stop. People are going to continue to discuss it. So I'd like to propose that some study be done about either a periodic mayor's letter or a blog or something as a flow of continuous information, even in between the monthly magazine, because we do want to know these things, and sometimes people are repeating bad information, and it doesn't help anybody. So I thank the staff, I thank the board, the mayor for all your work, and I'd ask that you consider that. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. That's it.
Okay, moving right along. First is the mayor's report. Go over a few, I'm sorry, go on. Go on.
I wasn't gonna talk, but I just have to say something.
Okay,
So,
feel free.
we've been in Golden Beach for close to 30 years. And when we first came here, I used to call it windswept. It was a great place to live, and as if anybody had driven through Golden Beach in those days, it wasn't such a great place to look at. And now, look what we've got. And I can only commend Glenn and the council for that, because before they were in this council, the infighting, the contentious, what used to go on in this meeting used to be like a war zone. And now we have calm, and we have people doing things that are beneficial for the community. So I just have to commend the council as it stands today, compared to what it used to be 20 years ago.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Anyone else? Good and welfare?
That's it.
Okay, moving right along, just a quick little mayor update. Some housekeeping, the Golden Beach Gatehouse is, as everyone's aware, almost complete. We moved the command post out of there on Monday. They're working on the fountains and the landscaping, but it should be totally completed within the next 30 to 45 days. The project came within time and under budget. Anyone that wants to see the cost, town manager would be more than glad to go over the cost, but the guardhouse so far, just with all our projects, has come in under time constraint and also under our budget. The beach pavilion is moving right along. The bathroom should be completed in the next 30 days. Then we will start the renovation on the pavilion itself. That should be completed within the next 45 to 60 days. So hopefully by the beginning of the summer, the beach pavilion will be fully operative for the Golden Beach residents to enjoy. I think when both these projects, the gatehouse and the beach pavilion, is completed, I think the residents will be very, very happy with the end result. Again, both these projects are coming in within our time frame and under budget. So we take our projects very, very seriously. The town manager and I scrutinize these projects every day, every week. We look at our budget, we look within our proposal, what we propose the cost to be versus the budget, and we try to stick to the budget as much as possible, and we've been very successful doing that. The next project, the lighting project, which will commence within the next 60 days, will take about 6 months to complete. The lighting project, I think, will resolve part of your issues at night, because we are adding a bunch of street lightings, especially down on the end over there. Prior to commencement of the ordering of the street lights, the town manager, myself, the electrical engineer, and the lighting company walked the town at night to make sure where we were adding the additional lighting would be sufficient lighting for the residents of Golden Beach. So I think once the lighting project is completed, the nighttime issue of the safety for Golden Beach will improve dramatically. The canal maintenance program is moving along. We have been in process for permit. We are making headway. We are making progress. We're hoping going to start go out to bid with the canal maintenance project within the next 90 days, or come up with a game plan on how we're going to propose the bid process for that. The town hall update, I'm going to give a report after the attorney report on where we stand with everything, how my meeting with the town manager and the police chief with the Dade County Fire went, what my personal suggestion is, what my recommendation is, and what the next step and the process that the town's going to take. The town security is an issue, has always been one of our top issues within the town. We just received, as I mentioned before, we ordered a golf cart. It's an electric car that's going to be driven on the weekends and at night. It's by our one of the gatehouse officers. It's going to be extremely lit. It's going to have side lights. It's going to have red and white, but the yellow lights on top with 2 searchlights. It's going to be going down Golden Beach Drive, down North Island, down Center Island, down South Island, continuous rotation during the evenings on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I believe during the week also from 8 to sunrise. So that will increase the security of Golden Beach. At the same time, as the town manager mentioned before, we have increased patrol since that incident. Knock wood, I don't want to jinx it, but since we've increased patrol and we've heightened security, there's been no incidents within Golden Beach. So I want the residents to know that security is a major concern of myself, the town administration, and the council. Regarding Center Island, we've told, it was initially a discussion item. We put it to rest probably 3 months ago. There's no way we're gonna develop Center Island. We're not selling Center Island lot. We're not developing it. We're not putting a civic center. We're not putting a gym. It's gonna remain the park. It's got tremendous history. For all the residents that don't know that used to be a jail, and the inmates used to be able to fish out of the jail window into the intercoastal. So there's tremendous history to that Center Island dock. We have no plans. It's not even a discussion item. It's a moot point. It's not going to be developed, so you can put that at ease. And if that wasn't communicated well enough, that's our fault. We apologize to that. The regarding to the letter of the mayor, every month I include in the newsletter a letter that I personally write, that I update on every project and everything that's going on within town. I also reiterate a lot of the concerns that are brought up in the council meetings. Every month, we have a newsletter, I believe, 10 months a year, and for 10 months, I write that letter myself and try to update the residents. I appreciate the input, and I have in the past put out some letters regarding after the hurricane, and I will try to better the communication, maybe every quarterly, so I don't inundate the residents with letters from me. I will try to every quarter to put out a letter to update the residents. Regarding communication with the town meetings and everything, we do have to do a better job. We're trying to improve it. We do have it on the website. We do send out notices. It's 90% usually the third Tuesday of every month. But I agree, we need to communicate better with the residents, and whether there's no reason why when that sign's up there and it does mention the spaghetti dinner, it should say that there's a town hall meeting that evening. And you have my word that we will try to communicate better to the residents and inform the residents and on a more timely notice when the meetings occur. Because communication definitely needs to improve, I agree. Regarding rumors of the town, again, that gets back to our communication. If we communicate better, there'll be less rumors. So I take the blame for that, because obviously we're not communicating enough to the residents. But just so everyone understands, we've never in the past, I've been mayor now for 14 years, I've never in the past have done a project without getting resident input, without getting council approval, without having open forum meetings for months. So we never do anything behind closed doors. This has always been an open town hall, and everything we do is always done open in the public. So, I want to put that to rest, that, we do things behind residents' backs, because we don't. I mean, I wouldn't want it done to me, and we would never do it to our residents. We've always had open communication. We always discuss everything amongst us. We may not agree to everything, and that's the great part about being on the council. You don't want us to agree on everything, because if we agreed on everything, either nothing would get done or everything would get done. So the beauty of it is that we don't agree on it, but we do have, intelligent, polite, professional discussions, and we do open everything open to the public, and we do get the public input, and that's why the town has been so successful. I mean, the town has been extremely successful due to our administrative staff. Our town manager does a phenomenal job. His staff does a phenomenal job. And not to toot the council's horn, but I think the council does a great job. And, we put the residents first, and, we strive to keep continuing to improve the town, because we live here. So it's not like we're doing things that doesn't affect us. If we were to raise taxes, it affects us. If we were to do an assessment, it would affect us. So the beauty of it is every decision that we make and everything we do affects us too. We're on both sides of this podium. We're sitting here making decisions, but at the same time, we're on the other side of the podium, and these decisions affect us. So believe me, we give tremendous thought about everything we do for the town. And, we give our heart and soul to this town, because we want to make it better. We want to make it better for the residents. We want to make it better for the children. We want to make it better for the children's children. When I first moved here, like 20 years ago, the average age, because I know this for a fact, the census was over 70 years old, and there were, I believe, 60 children in Golden Beach. Now the average age, because of all the children, is 32 years old, and there's over 300 children in Golden Beach. So, we understand that there's more children in Golden Beach. We have to be cognizant of that, and we have to, adjust and adapt and make sure that the town's safe and that everything we do benefits the residents and the children of Golden Beach. So, we do take everything at heart. So, again, the communication, we will definitely work on our communication, because obviously we're not doing a good enough job. But you have my word that the communication will improve dramatically over the next few months. So, I enjoy serving as mayor of Golden Beach. It's my full-time job. I'm fortunate and really don't have any other thing else to do. And I love doing what I do. And I work great with the town staff and the administration. We have fun doing it, and we make progress. And the nice thing about small-time politics is the decisions you make and the changes you make, you get to see yourself. So it's very honoring and humbling to be in this position and seeing the changes that we've made over the years. And I appreciate everyone's support, and I appreciate everyone's input. Believe me, we're not going to agree on everything that we decide, but believe me, I listen and we digest everything we said. Just like Center Island, we just talked about, the possibility of looking into, developing it. We heard right away that it wasn't going to fit well or sit well with the Center Island residents. We put it to bed. So, we care because it affects everybody. So, once again, I'm going to go over an update. I hope everyone stays as soon as the council finishes their comments and the town manager gives his report and the town attorney report. I will give you an update on the status of what's going on with our next step. So with that, I'll move it to council comments. I'll start with Councilwoman Rojas.
Okay. First, I'd like to talk about the pedestrian gates. I totally agree that North Gate is distinguishable from all of the other pedestrian gates, and I do think that we should close it, and it's not going to be a hardship to anybody to do so, and that we could make accommodations for the few families who do need to use it on Friday evening and Saturday. I also think that on the other pedestrian gates, we should not keep it open until 10 o'clock. I mean, I don't think there's any reason to have that thing open after dark. And the other thing regarding the gates is I'm not so sure about the signage there. I mean, why should we advertise it to people, what time the gate's going to be open to and from? So that's what I have to say regarding the gates. I also want to say that at the last meeting, the issue of communication between the town and the residents was brought up. And I can tell you that the town did listen, because I remember on March 27th, I still have the email from the town, which was addressed to all the residents whose emails are registered with the town. And what it was an email letting everybody know what the April 2018 events were going to be, including social events, including, public works events, town hall events, and also today's meeting. And I think, we can only do so much, and then the responsibility falls on the resident to go on the website and see, oh, there's a meeting, well, let's see what's on it. And I also noticed that on the last newsletter, there was more about the March meeting than I had ever seen in the past. So I do think that the town is trying to communicate better, but it's a two-way, it's a two-way street. About the Civic Center, again, we had a discussion, we're having another discussion, nothing has been decided. When we talked about elections and dates, we were just talking in terms of hypotheticals. We said, okay, fine, if we all agree that we want to go forward in this, and if we want to have a referendum, then this is the time frame. It was just hypotheticals and possibilities and pure discussion. So I don't think that the council should be faulted for anything regarding what's been being talked about for the Civic Center. And lastly, one of the items, the item about the purchase of the Chevy Tahoes on the consent agenda, and I'll talk about it more then, but I want to bring up the fact that hurricane season is coming soon. I know we're waiting for some money from FEMA to perhaps make our generator system better and more automatic in the town, but I'm just worried that in case that doesn't happen, that we need to take steps to strap them down,
We have Plan
train
B.
the public works how to turn them on manually and when to turn them on manually so that we don't have the pumps stopping like we did last time. And that's it.
Thank you. Councilman Bernstein?
Just because it seemed like the majority of these comments were on the communication, I'd like to start with that. I first want to say that the council is prohibited by the Sunshine Law, which says that we can't talk amongst each other about anything before these, like outside of these meetings, that we have to basically let everybody know when we're going to meet. And the agendas that are set up always say the things that we're going to talk about, and usually it's the first time when they're mentioning for the first time, it's the first time that we talk about it. And it's the first time that we get to hear each other's thoughts, and it's the first time that we get to hear good ideas, bad ideas, and we come in here with we try to come in here with an open mind and listen to everything. A lot of it I don't like. Sometimes you get changed and sometimes you like things. This is how we did it with the CIP project. This is how we did it with the sidewalks, with the parks, with the beach renovations, and everything that I've been involved in for the past 12 years and the council's been involved in for the past 12 years has been done the same way that we just came in here and talked about the Civic Center. And the city council meetings are open forums for people to talk. And we need to do a better job, I agree, on communicating that there's a city council meeting, but I will say this, and we're fortunate to be an age of communication and internet and Wi-Fi. I don't think there's ever been a better time where people have access to what is going on in this city and what we're doing. The same agenda that we get emailed and the same agenda that we're discussing is available to the residents when we're first seeing it on the website. Maybe we need to do a better job communicating with everybody on the website, but the information is there if people want it. And in terms of the Civic Center, there's so many things I don't support, and there's so many things I'm sure these people aren't. I am against a gym. I am against a lot of different things. I don't see it realistically as that we're going to make a referendum in time for the November hearing, but all we did is have a discussion, and we might need to do a little better job in terms of saying inside of this meeting, come and join us, but I don't know what better way that we can do this other than saying these are city council meetings, this is the topics we're going to have, and please come in here and talk with us. And just like I spent an hour or 15 minutes after our last meeting saying the exact same thing I said to you, right now that we're here for discussion purposes. We're here to talk about these things and to encourage open ideas and encourage people's involvement, and we'll continue to do that. In terms of communication, Jeff, you and I have talked about this. I communicated this with several other people, and after a few comments, I've heard it from a lot of people. We need to have a better social media presence, but a lot of it is also on this website, and we will work on that and are committed to doing better communication. And I do agree, Ms. Hadicott, that we need to make sure that we're letting people know about these meetings. In terms of the North Pedestrian Gate, I'm very sympathetic, and I've got to look at this better, but I don't know why we did this. I assume there's certain people that were requesting it. I don't know the other sides, but I agree with Amy. It's very different than some of the other places. Listening to you, it seems like there should be something that we could do stronger, and we will look into that. Let's see, the only other thing, I don't know how you prohibit a service dog on the beach. They're allowed on airplanes, they're allowed everywhere else. I'm not sure what service dogs, but that was my other comment. And I just want to say, Senator Island, hopefully, we've even had discussions about it. I made sure that you were aware that we were talking about these things, which is often how things work when residents are being affected, and I'm aware that it might have impact. I alerted you to it, told you, that this thing was probably dead, that it didn't make sense unless you guys were going to endorse it, and so we are trying to do communication. I'm just saying that we're lucky we have a small town where everybody kind of knows people in town and often try to communicate personally people, and this is an example of before. Probably the way you heard about it was me coming and having that discussion item. So I just want to say that, you know, we're lucky in a small town to be able to communicate, and I think a lot of people do here. And finally, I want to say thank you very much for the nice comments. That we worked hard, and it's nice to hear that we're doing something that other people appreciate. Thank you very much.
You've seen it both ways. You see the difference.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Mandel?
So first of all, I know he's not here, but I want to congratulate the now Sergeant Avila on his promotion, well-deserved promotion, as well as the officers of the month. We owe a lot of gratitude to our Golden Beach Police Department, the chief included. They do a great job protecting us, and the recognition is very well deserved. As far as the North Gate goes, I strongly agree with Councilwoman Rojas and with Mrs. Hoonan. I don't know. I mean, people could very well just use the Navano gates. That seems to be a separate type of pedestrian gate that really, I don't see the purpose of that, honestly. I don't see a hardship for any families. As far as the Shabbat goes, Friday nights, it's people usually walk, go to the shul, it's that way. So it's not like people would be using that gate anyways. So we could possibly look into closing that for good. I know that as far as you mentioned the hedges, I do know that we had an issue with the hedges. I think they somewhere, and the town manager could correct me afterwards, some were contaminated or diseased, so they had to be cut down, but I think we should go ahead and replant them and make sure that barrier is there. As far as communication goes, I have to echo what the rest of my colleagues here say. I agree with the sentiment here. Communication is very important. I've been hammering that aspect in every council meeting so far. And to all fairness to the town administration, the manager, the clerk, and Michael Glidden, who's not here, they've been doing a decent job in hearing that advice. You look at the website, they started putting up the YouTube videos of the council meetings. They've started using constant contacts to alert residents now of certain events like this meeting, as Councilman Bernstein said. So it's a work in progress. Definitely do hear you guys, and I completely agree. And I will keep hammering the town administration until we get this 100% right. That said, as far as the Civic Center goes, and which is going to be discussed next, all the rumors going around, these are rumors. You guys know, you guys could call town administration, you could call the town manager, he picks up all the time, call any of us, email any of us. I answer every email that comes my way, whether it's a nice email towards me or not, I answer it regardless. And it's my pleasure because it's part of this job. So, again, these are rumors, and most of these rumors are just completely untrue. So, and to the people spreading the rumors, it does a disservice just to everyone. It doesn't, I mean, it doesn't help in any way. I personally like Mr. Son's suggestion, actually, possibly a blog from the mayor every week, I would say.
Every day.
With pictures.
With pictures, exactly. Yeah, that's, oh, and just a thank you to Maria. I know she left the finance department here. They do a good job. It was a very well-deserved recognition. So just a thank you to her. And lastly, and just to reiterate what the mayor said, whether we agree with you or not, we're all here to engage with you. That's the job. So you guys could always come for us. If there's a lack of communication, just email us, call us. We'll answer. We'll set the record straight. Don't put too much into these rumors. And yeah.
Thank you.
Well, everyone else started with communication, so I will too. Obviously, we have to do a better job. We can all sit here and say we're doing more. We're putting it in the newsletter. We put out a yearly from September through October of what we're doing, but your feedback to us is it's not enough. Maybe in part it's because we used to have this electric sign when you went through the gate, that really told you what's doing, and it's down now, and I do believe it's gonna be coming back. That may be part of it, cause it seems to have started when that stopped working. But I'm not gonna belabor it anymore. The last thing we wanna do is keep you uninformed. I mean, we're here because of you, so. And to me, it's an easy fix. So I really don't think, I think you're justified in how you feel, if that's how you feel. We've tried harder, but obviously we have to do more. I think before I go on, I just want to take a minute to just say, Rudy, condolences to you. It's only been about a week and a half that you lost your father, was it? Our condolences, sorry, and anything that we can offer you. Now just a few comments. When you drive into town northbound, that gate, the green fence, is still so open. You look right into the basketball courts, right through the town hall. Do we have plans to fill that in? No? I just feel that we're just so exposed that way. Even if we planted something small, you know, within a couple of years it would grow, but we're just so visible in there that it's, if we don't have plans for something, maybe we should think about it.
It's part of the Civic Center discussion item.
My vegetable garden is on here.
Good one.
Second, the dog park. I'm still not understanding exactly why we have two of them. I visited there not long ago and there's two, but there's one that's newer. And the few residents that have called me about it, I mean, they're not wrong. The heat is oppressive. There is no shade there whatsoever. So I think we have to either commit to doing it the right way or just make some changes in there so that it really can be used. It's almost unusable. On a good note, I think the median on A1A is really beginning to look a lot better. Sometimes the medules were beginning to look like the leaves were dying, but since this last rain, I guess because everything is so dry, they've kind of perked up. But I think the entrance, in from the north and south end of town is really looking good, and I guess that's kudos to Maine Guy. Hurricane preparedness, I'm concerned about that also. If we had another big hit like last time, would we still be able to go to Regalia? Because this is still not hurricane proof, our town hall. And in the worst scenario or the best scenario, could one or two officers be able to now stay in the guardhouse, however small? No? So, okay. I hate to bring this up, but Sunday, the day of the Italian spaghetti dinner, is an 80% chance of rain. So I just saw that today. I thought I'd let you know.
Wet noodles.
I actually, I'm 100% in favor of locking Messini, or just closing that gate off altogether. I think that it is very much like an alley, and I think on all the signs that we put on all the gates, that perhaps maybe we did make a mistake saying that our hours are from 10 to 6 a.m. I don't see why that's anybody's business except ours.
The council directed us to do that.
Well, bad me. I don't recall doing that. I thought I recalled saying I don't think we should do that. But if that's what we did, I think in all honesty, we made a mistake. It's nobody else's business out there, and we can easily handle that on our own. The Golden Beach Youth Leadership Group, I hope the town manager is listening to this, and the mayor, did plant, and they've got a vegetable garden growing, and we're gonna have a nice vegetable dinner one night through the Golden Beach Youth Leadership Group, but the town manager will get lemons. Okay, and Memorial Day, just a question.
It could be the food for the dogs on the beach.
Yeah, really.
Memorial Day,
Will the pavilion be available for the Memorial Day celebration?
to be determined.
Okay. And, I think that's it.
Thank you. Moving right along, town manager, you want to give us a little update?
Sure, Mayor, Council, and more importantly, residents. It's important that you understand that we try to.
Sorry.
Oh, no.
I think it's important that you realize that we do try to listen to all of our residents, and this issue of communication is not one that the town bears sole responsibility. Communication works both ways, and it takes a partnership between those who receive the message and those who put out the message. So over the last couple of years, we've tried to develop the way we communicate. We've enhanced our newsletter. Our newsletter constantly covers what we discuss at our council meetings. We put all of our programming in our newsletter. Our website has been more robust. We now are featuring our town council meetings on the website so you can view what's going on. This last council meeting when we had the Civic Center discussion, we looped that video every hour for 2 weeks on Channel 89. So if you went to Channel 89, you would see the council discussion. And we plan to do that for all of our council meetings. So if you missed it on Channel 89, it'll be streaming for 1 week after the meeting. Every hour on the hour, it'll stream the meeting. In addition to that, we now have a place on our website that if you don't have Channel 89, because we heard a lot of you do not have Channel 89, you'll be able to go to our website and look at and view the meeting there. It's also important for you to know that by law, I am required to post our agenda for the commission items that we're discussing at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. We try to get the agenda up and out by Friday before the council meeting. So on the Friday before the council meeting, typically before 5 p.m., we upload the town's agenda. That agenda is there for you to review, ask questions, and also, believe it or not, if you have a discussion item that you want us to fully vet through, call us on Monday morning and say, hey, do you mind putting this on the agenda? And we can make those accommodations for you. We've implemented the constant contact where we send out now emails to all of our residents on a monthly basis, because if we send out too many emails, you'll just block us or delete us. So we have to be careful in terms of how much information we put out there. I hear you very clear that you don't feel that we effectively communicate. And I want to take responsibility for the message board speaking about the spaghetti dinner. That was it's just a staff error. It wasn't intentional. No one was trying to deceive that tonight we were having a meeting. In fact, it was on our newsletter and in the constant contact update. As it relates to our projects, one of the residents talked about our projects. All of our projects are fully discussed both in design and in funding at the council meetings. Those items are always publicized. If a resident has a concern about one of the projects that we're engaging in, we strongly encourage you to come in and talk to us during those discussion items at the council meetings. And as I mentioned earlier, when we received the award, all of our capital projects are in our capital budget. So most of, if you look at our website and if you look at our budget, you'll see where those items are. Important to also recognize that every time this council or the council approves a project, it's immediately published in your newsletter with a description of the project, the timeline it's going to take, and the cost. So all I'm asking is, when you receive that newsletter, that I know sometimes we put too many pictures, and people say, oh, it's a joke, let's just toss it out. And then if we don't put enough pictures, people think it's too boring, so they toss it out. So we try to balance that. But when you receive the newsletter, take the time to peruse through it, maybe put it in the bathroom, and that's something that you could read while you're there. Whatever the case may be, the newsletter is our most important vehicle to communicate with you. It's how we can tell you the action of the council, what we're proposing, and what's upcoming. In addition to that, our website. Our website is very robust. It has our agendas. It has our minutes. You can read verbatim almost everything that this council discusses at the meetings. It's there for you. And more importantly, and if you don't have this, and I know everyone in this room does, maybe except for one face that I don't recognize, two faces that I don't recognize, my cell phone, 786-236-4211. And yes, some of you in this room have texted me at 2 in the morning, okay, and I don't mind it. And I'm also going to publicly announce that I'm recruiting and I'm hiring the Golden Beach Rumor Mill to join us in our communication efforts, because the rumor mill seems to be more effective than the way we communicate. So if you're part of that rumor mill, and I know 2 of you are, come see me, because I want to employ you to help us communicate what's going on in town. I say that jokingly, but it's important that our residents give us feedback. I know that the council has directed us to look at social media. I'm not an advocate of social media because social media can kind of work against you. But if you have another means that we can communicate with you, please share that with us. And I know that sometimes I don't exercise my judgment in using the reverse 911 when maybe I should. But I'm also afraid that if we use it too often, that people will take themselves off the list. So it's a balancing act. I'm not perfect, but if you have another way that we can communicate with you, absent smoke signals, please let us know what they are. I also want to announce that we are buying another message board to put on the south gate. So as you're exiting, you'll be able to see what you normally miss on the entranceway. So there'll be another one of those electronic marquee. And then whoever mentioned the tents, we did order council meeting tents as well as flooding tents that we could put out throughout the parks notifying you when there are council meetings. So that idea was mentioned at the last meeting. We already placed those orders. So we'll be putting out more of these, they're kind of folding message boards that will say council meeting tonight. And we're gonna put those on A1A and at both the North and South Park. So we did order those, we did listen to you. So help me help you communicate better. Let me now just give you a quick update my report. As the mayor mentioned, we have taken delivery of the guardhouse. That does not mean that we're complete. We're still finalizing the inside of the guardhouse. We then stopped that project. There are 2 projects approved for the guardhouse area. I'm not sure if the residents realize this. The guardhouse being one project. The second project is everything from the back of the guardhouse, curb and gutter, the pavers, the fountains, and then all the signs across the street. That is another project that has a separate timetable and a separate budget. That project will probably start next week. We're redoing all of the fountains, all of the signage across the street, and all of the curbs and gutters. That project has a 45-day deliverable time frame. So we'll have the guardhouse completely finished within the next 45 days, assuming that weather behaves. At the beach pavilion, we'll take delivery of our bathrooms and our new amenities, the checkerboards, the fire pit, the outside showers, and the new storage bin within the next 30 days. During that time period, we're going to commence a second project, which is the beach pavilion itself. So we've applied to the county to allow us to refurbish our beach pavilion. Most of our columns are old and they've exploded, and we've got to refix them and redo the floors and restrap our ceiling. That building is a 1929 facility that needs to be refurbished every so often. The council approved that project. All of those projects were funded within this year's budget. Not a single dollar is being asked of our residents. In addition to that, we are then starting our street lighting program. I had a meeting just today with FP&L. We believe that we'll start to receive the street poles within the next 30 days. And it'll take 6 months from the time that we start that project to completion. And just like I've mentioned before, that project was fully funded, completely funded by a grant that we received from the state of Florida. So we're not asking our residents to pay a single dollar for replacing a $1.8 million street lighting program. And so we have to give credit to where credit's due. The council really has worked hard to minimize the impact of all of these projects. And then, of course, for all of our intercoastal residents and Councilmember Rojas, this has been her pet project for the last 10 years, we are finally in the final stage of permitting for our canal maintenance. And as you know, our canal maintenance program will take our muck out of the canals and create a clear 6 feet draft at low tide for all of our canals, making our canals more navigable. And as it relates to there was a big piece of debris on South Island that was blocking the navigational waterways of South Island. That was removed, and we paid for that with our budget. So we're working really hard. Right now, we're managing 6 very large capital projects. As the mayor and council will talk about in just a few minutes, when we discuss new ideas for this community, it's always to do 2 things. 1, provide better lifestyle for our residents, make it safer, and more importantly, making sure that you feel that what we're doing is making an investment in your community. And that's what we're all about. We're not about mismanaging your resources or creating a place where it's dysfunctional. So when we talk about the Civic Center after my report, it's important that you understand that everything that we do is in phases and in dialogue. Some of us may not like the discussions that we propose. Some of us want bigger, grander things, but it's all about finding compromise. And I can tell you that in the last 11 years that I've served as your manager, and I will tell you this because someone mentioned about sometimes, bringing in new blood creates a better environment. We're not complacent. This administration has not been complacent in 11 years. We don't come here, we're not mediocre. We come here every day trying to better your life and create better programs for you while lowering your taxes and bringing in free money. So if anyone feels that my staff or I have become complacent, I apologize. That's not what we're about. We're about making Golden Beach better for you and your families, and we hope that you continue to trust this administration. With that said, Mayor, I think we should talk about the Civic Center.
Well, first, Town Attorney, do you have any comments?
Nope. I think you guys are great. You always communicate with me.
I appreciate that. Okay, last week, the town manager, Chief Rudy and Lieutenant Gio and I met with the Dade County Fire Department. We met with Chief Downley, who is the head chief for Dade County, and also Scott Mendelsberg, who's the CFO of Dade County Fire. Just some fun facts about Golden Beach and Dade County Fire. Golden Beach is located, as everyone knows, the furthest northeast section of Dade County. The closest fire station is Sunny Isles, which is approximately 2.4 miles away, or 10-minute travel time per the fire department with no traffic. There's approximately 4 stations within 5-mile radius of Golden Beach. Dade County Fire would love to add a rescue fire truck in the town of Golden Beach to help secure the northeast section of Dade County. Broward County, so everyone understands, under a catastrophic event only can serve Dade County. There's strict rules and laws whether Broward County could enter Dade County if there was like a 5-alarm fire. But according to the chief, under a catastrophic event, they could enter, Dade County. They proposed to us, they would want to do 1 tunnel, possibly for future growth, 2 tunnels in Golden Beach for a fire station.
The base.
The base. That entails 4 full-time fire and rescue workers living and working in Golden Beach at one time. So they would be a part of the Golden Beach residents. There would be 4 full-time employees at the station. They promised the town manager and I that there would be no noise from the employees or the fire trucks, that they have protocol when the fire trucks leave Golden Beach regarding the noise. The last 4 projects that Dade County Fire has built stations have been in communities. The last 2 was Pinecrest, which was in the middle of Pinecrest they built with homes around it, and Doral, the same thing. Obviously it would be a tremendous asset to the town if we were to do this. But after the town manager and I met with Dade County Fire, and we talked to them and we heard them out, and we understand thus far there's never been an issue, knock wood, with a fire truck. There was last year, I believe, over 80 calls, believe it or not, in Golden Beach. But every call was sufficiently covered. Rescue trucks and fire trucks, when I say 80 calls. There are 4 police officers, I believe 4 life-saving.
So we're staffed with
4, I believe it's 4, right?
we have 4 AEDs, but we don't staff 4 per shift.
Right. So we have, God forbid, if there's a heart attack situation, the Golden Beach Police could handle it. So after, discussion with Dade County Fire, the town manager and I, and again, this is just our opinion, okay, feel that even though it would be an asset to add that to Golden Beach is a quiet community. We don't want anyone else living in Golden Beach. It was our thought process that for now, at this stage in where we are in Golden Beach, we don't need to pursue that any further. So we at this stage have no intention, unless the council directs us otherwise, to pursue adding a fire station in Golden Beach. They were very progressive, and they were, very, adamant about they wanted to do, and they wished that we would add one to Golden Beach. Obviously, they need another fire station in the Dade County, northeast Dade County corridor. God forbid if there's ever a 5, 6 alarm fire at one of these condos, even though they feel that there's sufficient, coverage with the 5, the stations within the Aventura and the Sunny Isles locale, we feel at this time it's not going to better Golden Beach any further. So that portion of our discussion is a moot point at this juncture. We decided that we're not going to pursue it. It is, just so you understand, it is enticing. They were going to pay for a tremendous amount of cost to build the fire station, the infrastructure. They would pay the ongoing cost of the station. But again, there's 380 homes and lots in Golden Beach. The more we thought about it, we don't want additional people that aren't residents in Golden Beach living in Golden Beach. The station is close enough that if there is ever, God forbid, a major fire in the town, we feel that they can handle it. So that portion of it is per the town manager and I's discussion, and this is the first the council is hearing about it, and when I'm done with my report, I welcome their opinion. But at this stage, in this juncture, we feel we're not going to add, a fire station to the Golden Beach community. Regarding the town hall project, the town manager and I are looking at, along with the council, what's best for the community. There's many options. Okay, what will benefit the town of Golden Beach? We all know the residents, including myself, do not want, and I'm sure the council will agree, do not want to increase any taxes for the residents or do any assessments. Okay, so I'm putting that to bed right away. That was a discussion item at one time when we were looking at funding Golden Beach. There's been rumors that said that we're charging the residents $10,000 a year for an assessment for the next 10 years or 5 years, whatever. That's not what we're looking at, okay? We are not looking to increase any of Golden Beach's residents' taxes or do any special assessments. Because not only does it affect you, like I said before, it affects everyone up in the council. So we are looking at what it's going to cost if we were to do a town hall. What's the best way to go about it, and what does the town of Golden Beach need for Golden Beach? Do they need a 5,000 square foot building? Do they need a 10,000 square foot building? What amenities, if any, would we put into the town hall? But after further discussion with the town manager and I, and after we met with the fire department, we decided that we have 5 projects going on right now. 6 projects going on right now. And 2 of them really haven't even started. And due to the fact that, basically the town manager oversees everything with me on a daily basis, we don't have the resources at this time to even go into the next phase of a town hall. It's in a discussion mode, and over the next several months, the town manager and I, just like prior several meetings before, the town manager and I visited several cities and looked at their town halls and came up with some suggestions. But at this stage in our game, we feel it's better at this point to put it on hold at this level until the town manager and I can evaluate exactly what we're looking for and what we need. So we feel by early fall, we might come back to the town council and the residents with some suggestions on what we're doing. We're not planning on doing it this year. We're not planning on hiring an architect. We're not planning on starting construction. We're not planning on, we have to get all our ducks in a row before we present it to anybody. We've always been systematic in every project that we've done. We've always been cost cognizant also. So until we know exactly what we need, what we're going to do, and how we're going to fund it, we're not doing anything. Okay? The next few months, the town manager and I will meet and go over different ideas on what we're looking for, square footage, what we think what's best for town, if we even need one at all, or maybe we redo this building or something. Something needs to be done. We just don't know what. Okay? And we don't know how big and what amenities. But at this juncture in where we are today, with the projects that we have going on, with the projects that we have on our plate, we don't have a whole staff to oversee these projects. So at this time, we're going to put it on hold. We're going to slowly come up with some suggestions and discussion items for the come back in fall, whether it be September, October, November, and start the discussion at that time. So I think it's the correct thing to do, and due to the fact that, again, we're at no stage ready to decide what we're going to do and how we're going to fund it. So, I just wanted to update all the residents. I wanted to put everything, all the rumors to bed. One thing that, like I said, you have my word, we're not increasing our taxes, okay, to fund a new town hall. The town manager and I made a commitment several years back If anything, we're keeping our millage rate where it is, improving amenities for the residents, and not increasing taxes. And I think the council and the town administration, this last budget proved it. I mean, we're improving the town over and over again, and we have not increased our budget. We have not increased our taxes. 2 years ago, we lowered our millage rate, okay? So I need to put that rumor to bed. Again, to reiterate, we're not doing any special assessments. We're not looking to do any special assessments. We're not looking to change the millage rate or, change our taxes. When we come up with what we feel is best for the town, we will present it to the council. Because as everyone knows, as Councilman Bernstein discussed before, we can't discuss it in closed door session. It always has to be an open door session. We will come back, we will have open discussions with the council. They will give us our suggestions. The town manager and myself, the residents will be more than welcome to add to it. But at this time, to beat a dead horse and decide what we were going to do and what we're not going to do, in my opinion, is a waste of time, because we're not even close to that stage. Okay, we have 6 ongoing projects that I want to complete most of these projects before we even go into any further discussion, and to make sure these projects get completed as planned and within our budget, and then move from there. So
Mayor,
with that, I'll pass it to town manager and
Before
take
the
a discussion.
before the council kind of chimes in, let me just I want to put everything in proper setting. With any major endeavor that you take, you want to start to kind of set your goals and expectations, and you look at the big picture, and then you try to figure out what your true needs are. And I think that the exercise that we've taken on over the last 4 months by talking to the residents and having preliminary discussion has allowed us to realize what the temperament of our community is. And so even though at one point we've talked about, a grand civic center and how do we fund it and what we can do, I think that what we've learned is where the temperament of the town is. And I'll tell you, this is the direction that I feel I've gone on a moving forward basis. I think it's extremely important to recognize that we do need a new town hall. This building does not meet OSHA, does not meet ADA, does not meet floodplain, does not meet hurricane. We don't have a single impact window on this building. And during the last hurricane season, we had to use regalia across the street to house our staff. And it was embarrassing because we did not have a single place that we can go to. This building doesn't even have a generator. And our staff members work out of a building where the bathrooms aren't even ADA compliant. So there is a need for a town hall, and the mayor's correct. We could either refurbish this building or look at possibly moving into a new building. With that said, I think that the direction that the council and the community has made it quite clear to me are 3 things. 1, only if you can pay for it with your existing budget. 2, keep it to scale. We're small. We don't need other guests joining us. We know that you want to build something and you need to build something, but keep it to scale. And number 3, if you could give us something for us to also enjoy so that we can have another amenity, try to accomplish that. And if you do those 3 things, what you do with this land is important to us. So we want our quality of life to be impacted in the positive way. More green space, more park space, and alleviate more traffic into the community. And I think those 4 messages are clear as day. And so when the mayor and I met this week, the direction that the mayor gave me, and the mayor's quite right, we have 6 major projects that we're working on. And although we have a very competent staff, I manage those projects on your behalf. And I can tell you that it's very taxing on me. But we're going to continue to work over the next couple months while you're out for the summer, putting together a more responsive and respected plan that will be palatable to the community. Again, with those direction, that it's A, something we can afford within our existing budget. 2, that it's to scale and it fits within the community. And 3, if we can offer you something in return, that's gravy. And I think that the mayor expects us to put that plan together, definitely have workshops with our residents, definitely put it in our newsletter, definitely have town hall meetings, and Mrs. Adicott, to answer the question about referendum or not, because yes, you're correct, there was a discussion about a referendum question at the last meeting, and the referendum typically ties into financing. And so if the financing element is no longer a factor, then referendum may no longer be a factor. And so when we say one thing in a discussion as a discussion item, things evolve because the nature of the conversation continues to change. And so all I ask is that you trust this administration. We gave you a award, the mayor and I gave you a award in 2007 when you voted, 71% of you voted in favor of the referendum. And it was one thing, that we will never go above a millage rate of 8.59 mils. We then immediately lowered your millage rate to 8.5, and now we have set it at 8.4 mils. And so in honoring that commitment, let us work in bringing you a project that is to scale and that we could fund, and let us continue to have an open dialogue with both you, our residents, and our elected officials, so that we can bring you something that's more fully thought out and better prepared. And as we all know, and the mayor tells me this all the time, visual, show us what it's gonna look like, show us how you're gonna pay for it. Give us the time to do that, and let us continue to have that open and transparent dialogue with you. Trust me, you'll be proud of the efforts that we bring to you. I don't think I've disappointed you yet. Let me not disappoint you moving forward.
My only comment or concern would be before you get too far with the project, you say you want to make it so people at home can see. Otherwise, it's not good. They didn't hear my voice. You want town input before you get too far in a project. So how are we going to do that?
So we started that already. So this past in October, there was a survey that went out to our residents. Okay, and in that survey, we didn't ask you, are you willing to pay for it? But we started to ask you what kind of amenities, what would you like? We'll continue to do exercises like that, whether it be through constant contact or in these forums where we invite you to come in and just look at what we're planning. Look, at the end of the day, now that the direction is you've got to be able to pay for it within your existing budget, we know that that project is going to be very scaled down, right? And so knowing that, we've got to be responsible to what our needs are and what we can offer you. Let us endeavor in that.
I understand that, but a survey is one thing, and an actual plan for a project is something completely different. And my only concern is before you get that far, as far as do a lot of research and get a project that you're in love with and that you really want to push forward, make sure the majority of the residents are in favor.
Absolutely. And then I'll also remind that there are laws that govern that process. So we can put together discussions in terms of putting a facility plan together. But in terms of design and elements, that's all a different beast because all of that goes out to bid, there's consultants involved.
Before you get to that stage, I'm talking about, like you mentioned, workshops. If you could have people who wanted to come and be part of that process.
Absolutely.
I think what he means is something similar to what we did for the CIP project.
And
We
we plan,
had
and the mayor
charrettes.
directed us to put those together, like charrettes, correct.
Right.
The only thing that we know for sure, here's two things that we know for sure.
That
The-
was still rumors, by the way.
Yeah, the only thing that we know for sure is the only land that we own that we can do something on are the lots that we purchased on A1A specifically for the purposes of building a new town facility, and this land here. Center Island is off the table. That was just a discussion do we think it was closed off? We respect the petition, but we made it clear that night that it was off the table, and it still is. I think that, the mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, the four premises that I spoke of earlier, if we stay true to that, I think that there's buy-in from our residents, and I think that there's confidence level from the council, and I think that that's where we need to focus on. Mayor, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure.
I think one of the things that Mrs. Coonan said tonight, and I think that kind of is what I'm hearing from everybody here, is we have a problem in town that we create these beautiful things, and everybody outside of here wants to join us and be part of it. And I think that's something we really need to keep in mind in
Agreed.
making like a piece of this space nice for us, that other people want to participate. And I think that that's something that the Golden Beach residents really don't want. They want it for our residents, for the people that live in Golden Beach. I think
Understandable, right.
I think that's a very big issue, and it's gonna be.
And it's a
difficult.
challenge. It is a challenge.
It's a very big challenge.
It is.
And that's part of the thing with the gates and the people walking. I mean, I know who walks in the morning.
We
are
recognize-
Oh, we
out-
know you do.
We are out there,
Yeah.
but the reality is, most of the people walking do not live here. They don't live here. I even see people coming in the gate, parking, and taking their dog out of their car, and getting our little bags, and walking their dog in Golden Beach. I mean, that's what's going on here, so it's really important.
Yes.
Just have
question along those lines, and I think this has been put on the table before, but what would it take to make Golden Beach private like it is in Bal Harbor, that they own their streets and there's a gate that you can only come in if a resident is waiting for you?
It's funny that you asked that question because the mayor directed both I and the attorney to investigate similar communities like Bay Harbor Point and, or not, is it called Bay Harbor Point? Across Bay Point and a lot of the islands like Star.
We've
So
looked at it in the past and we couldn't do it in the past, but now I found some, I believe some loopholes or whatever. I don't wanna promise anything. And
we are looking into it. We are looking into it.
We are looking into it.
We think that the climate at the county has changed, that we can work with the county to possibly one day privatize our streets.
Right.
It's no guarantees, but we're gonna endeavor to look into the matter.
Sir, you got ants in your pants or something?
Oh, I do. I miss this place. Anyway, I want to applaud the council, the staff, the town manager. You've got an extremely difficult job, and especially in a town where the people here are very vocal. I think this is great. I think this is great that you're giving feedback. I know a lot of times when I sat up there, sometimes you knew what the pulse of the town was, sometimes you didn't. And let me tell you, these people are listening. It's not a dictatorship here. He, as Glenn said, he's a taxpayer. He's paying the same, he's paying his taxes and he's watching his money. And I watched closely for 16, 18 years, and they have an eye on the bottom line. I think what's good, it's good right now. You're listening, and I think maybe people jumped the gun. They heard, it was a discussion item. And as well as tonight was a discussion item. I think the agenda, by the way, on the website, I don't think this got on as.
No, I forwarded it to you in the text.
Oh, wait, it was on it?
Yeah.
Where it's on a lower part, it's
Yes,
not at the end?
correct.
Okay, my bad, I'm sorry. I didn't see it, we came. But I think it's great. I think you guys are listening. I think ultimately, you're looking at this project from a different viewpoint, and I think that's terrific. And I think everybody up there is doing a great job. It's not an easy job. You've got a lot of, I forgot the quote that someone once said, you've got a town here of 360 homes and everybody has an opinion. It's not like nobody has an opinion. You have some very sophisticated people, which is good. But at the end of the day, we have to leave it to the council ultimately to make the decisions. We can give input, but if you let 360 people try to decide what this town hall is going to look like, the town hall will never get done. And in the past,
It's like when we did the capital improvement project, which Councilman Einstein was part of. We listened to the people, we decided, what we needed to do, and the town council, we got it done. We do listen to the residents because it's important. And the same thing with something like a town hall, because town hall will be utilized by the residents. So it's important that, we understand what the residents want. And as the town manager said in his opening comments, we did send out a questionnaire to put out. That was our first step. Okay, what do the residents want? If we were to build a civic center, what do they want whether it be a civic center or a town hall? What do they want? And that was, they gave us a wish list. And understanding, that no one wants to pay more taxes. I don't blame them. No one wants any special assessments, which I don't want either. We have to, as the town manager said, we have to figure out how we can build what we need within our budget. And at this stage, like I said before, we've got 6 projects going on. Let's complete the projects and let's walk before we run, just like we do every project. And within time, we will come up with something that we all agree on and the residents, had an input on. Just give us some time and, again, we appreciate everyone's input, but if you have a question, instead of starting a rumor, please call the town manager, any of the council or myself, or email us and we'll figure it out.
Mayor, we've allowed the residents and I to speak. Councilmember.
Yeah, Council, you would.
Mayor, just real quickly, addressing my wife's point, and I know this is a challenge and you talked about privatizing and stuff like that. Just noticed, I know we're trying to close gates down and things like that, and that's a challenge. We are public property, our ways are, we can come through the gate. It's tough. I don't know how you can address it. I know you've been sensitive to it. I know the mayor's been sensitive to it. He doesn't want, but we do. It seems like it's getting larger and larger. I know my wife walks 9 miles probably every other day, and she knows the community better probably than most people and sees everybody who comes in here. And like the other day, we were in the park, and people were parking at North Park who did not live there, and they were just having themselves a picnic, and it's something that, again.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Council? Vice Mayor, you have anything?
So, yeah, so I'll just, not gonna take up too much time here, but, so last month I was adamant about 3 things, and I think the mayor covered them all today, perfectly, so I don't have to really go into detail. I was adamant about the no special assessment, no millage increase. In other words, the skinny, civic center proposal, which I think that name should catch on right away.
You should coin that phrase.
Exactly. So I'm glad we're heading that way. The other thing I was adamant about, and I know it was a concern for several residents, including some here, was fire. For me, the only reason I was even considering looking at fire were for 2 reasons. One, if they could bring something to the table, which seems like they might be able to. And 2 is because of the pretty alarming statistics that you gave us last time, which, for those of you who weren't here, is essentially they take about 10 minutes to respond to Golden Beach. Talking this over a little bit with the town manager, I do understand that
10 minutes without traffic.
Without traffic.
Yeah.
I do understand that Golden Beach Police does, so the 4 AEDs as you mentioned. Just out of curiosity, we do have at least 1 officer per shift that knows how to. So with that, at least it calms me down somewhat. If there is an emergency, someone here having a heart attack, at least there's a.
We've already saved 3 of our ADs.
Say that again?
We've saved 3 people in our community with our ADs in the last 2 years.
So at least I'm more calm knowing that. I still don't like the fact that it takes 10 minutes for, if there's a tragedy or an emergency, for someone to come and save a life. But understanding that, understanding where the residents are on fire, especially with the noise, I heard you guys loud and clear. If they don't, and especially if they don't bring much to the table, then I think, as the mayor said, that's a non-starter anymore. So I respect that. Those were the 3 things I was adamant about, and it seems like we're heading down that route. I'm very excited to. I understand the need to not rush this process. I agree with it 100%. I know the town manager has a lot on his plate with the 6 projects, the mayor as well. So there's no need to rush this. However, the discussion shouldn't stop.
It shouldn't.
We need to keep moving, or else this will never happen, materialize. And just to plant a couple seeds in the people listening at home and the people here, just remember a town hall, and the town hall that we're talking about is one on A1A on these lots that the town manager mentioned before. So I heard some people talk about safety concerns or traffic concerns. That would alleviate traffic and safety concerns a lot, because you would no longer need to come into Golden Beach to go to town hall. So all the contractors, all the workers, everyone who needs to come to town hall will no longer come into Golden Beach. So all this, the children playing in the park, this green space, would all be a lot safer. Same thing with safety. We would be more secure. Our perimeters would be much more secure. However, as the mayor said, and as the town manager said, and as the rest of the council said, and as you guys know, this is a discussion that we are just beginning, and we're going to have. And as always, we welcome your input. And yep, that's it for me.
You got anything?
No, there's really not much to say other than, look, at some point we have to have some facility somewhere where police and staff could stay here during an emergency. I'm not that, listen, we've had this town hall for what, since 1929? So, I'm not saying it needs to be tomorrow, but eventually we have to know that if something happens, our police can be here. Because I was here during the last hurricane, and it really was creepy to have nobody here, even though we knew you know, where you were, it is nice to have a skeleton crew that's here.
You're the designated survivor.
There
That's
you
what
go,
I'm saying.
that's it. And the only other thing I would say, one of the most exciting things I did here tonight, which we've talked about ad nauseum on and off, is the possibility of maybe privatizing ourselves. I mean, I really don't know what that means. I don't know if that means
It's
we'd
a
be a
long endeavor.
homeowners association, which probably has a whole set of problems with it, along with it, but I just think it's important that, listen, the bottom line is we all work together. We, like the mayor said, we all live here. What affects you affects us, so that's it.
Councilman Bernstein?
I think I'm excited to hear you guys come back, whatever ideas you have. I did want to reiterate something, is that this started really after we gave direction to come up with new ideas of what people wanted in the city. And we were basing some of these ideas and discussions on what people most wanted. Economically feasible, we found out very quickly it wasn't, and you know, this is our only second meeting, and I do agree, no matter what happens, we need to have a meeting where everybody gets involved and has the opportunity to talk. And I don't think this council will ever come close to making a decision of that size without having a full forum and opportunity for everyone to talk. So these are very preliminary conversations. I'm hearing this for the first time. It seems like it just shut down. And the one thing though that, or I guess the two things that I am concerned about just in terms of dealing with issues related to the town hall is after the hurricane, so many people came in here and we're so thankful that we had a police presence, that there wasn't people breaking into homes. You know, this time we got lucky and hopefully regalia will be available in the future, but in the event they're not, I mean, I just think that we should try to figure out.
We've already made an agreement for this hurricane season.
Okay, in the event, like, that should be always top on our agenda because, I do think that there's so much pillaging and stealing during these hurricanes, and that's something that I think that is important to everybody here. And the second thing is, like Vice Mayor Mandel was saying, I do think that if we ever do endeavor to build a town hall, which I'm not saying we do, but to the extent there is the ability to reroute traffic so that we do not have people coming in that are not residents, so that we do not have construction workers coming in that should not be here. To the extent that we can keep them on A1A and not crowd our streets, not make it more dangerous for kids riding their bikes, not make it busier for people to get in and out of, I would totally support that type of structure. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Rojas?
No, I agree with the direction that council and administration is heading. This may be a stupid question, but the command vehicle that we used before, is that something that can be used during a hurricane?
So it's definitely something that we will use after a storm, and in fact, that will be our only basis of it. You know, it's fully functional. It has its own internet, Wi-Fi, generator, and AC. So we definitely will use it post-storm, but we couldn't ride out the storm in it. But it's definitely a vehicle. Mayor, before you close and before our residents leave, let me just,
We've got a whole council meeting.
you know what I mean, this discussion item. Let me just say that I think that this exercise is very helpful, and it's important that we keep this dialogue going. And I make a commitment to you tonight that we be more accommodating and do a better job in reaching out. As well, if you would do me the favor, if you feel that you haven't heard from us or you're hearing someone spreading a rumor, please call me directly. And if you have an idea that works, look, Ms. Adicott gave us 4 ideas at the last council meeting, and we've implemented most of them. If you have an idea on how we can better communicate with you, please let us know what they are. And then the last thing that I'll say is there's 2 ways that you're always going to be involved in knowing what we're doing. The monthly newsletter, don't toss it out, read it. And on our town website, every once in a while, the second week of every month, just go on there. Because we typically, if we ever move a meeting, it's always typically to the following week, not earlier. So just go on our website. All of our agendas are there, and most of our meetings will now be, all of our meetings will now be on the website. And don't forget, the Channel 89 is the only active forum that we get to go into your house and communicate with you. Thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate the feedback that you've given us.